Good evening and welcome to Wine Time Crime Time. I'm your host, Ritz. I did not do my hair and makeup today because I had too much fun yesterday and was incredibly lazy today. So, content warning for today: alcohol, as always. I am drunk. Um, Cursing, those things just fall out of my mouth. Rape, strangling, murder, serial killers, children's dying, and general shenaniganery. Okay, so today I'm drinking Prosecco Coconut Moscato. I found this at HEB. Um, it was like $8 a bottle, around there, some change. It's really tasty. It's really sweet. I'm to the horror of my housemate. I mixed it with Coke because that's what you do. Um, so yeah, I also borrowed my housemate's awesome new cup because it's green and it's got a sugar skull on it and it's super cool. Okay, so let's get started. Today we are going to talk about the um, Houston corridor murders. Also, oops, hold on, I gotta take my meds. I didn't realize it was 9 o'clock. Huh? Oh yeah, trigger warning meds. I take meds with alcohol because I'm super awesome.
Oh my god. You could have asked me if you with water.
They're down the hatch. It's all good. That was probably a bad idea. Hopefully I won't hork.
Probably.
Hopefully I won't hork. Content warning. I might hork. Just in case. Cover my bases. So, I-45 Houston corridor murders, also known as the Houston killing fields. More precisely, the killing field that is most famous is the one on Calder Road, which was an oil field that went out of business a long, long time ago. There was 4 bodies found on that one, but I'll get that to that later. The first body was found in 1971. Actually, 3 bodies, all Galveston Bay residents. It was 3 teenage girls. 2 were found in Turner's Bayou in Texas City. The 3rd was found in Galveston Bay. So that was the first 3. Now there have been, I think the count is over 40 at this point. So yes, they're still finding bodies. First one again found 1971, and it is now 2020. There are over 40 bodies, all women and girls. Many of them, I don't know if it's all, but many of them strangled and raped and then dumped. Some have been buried in shallow graves. Some have just been left in the marshes. So there's been a bunch of different ways. Originally thought to be the work of one serial killer. Jeez. Okay, so if you do get this, apparently it made me extra burpy. Or that was the pills. And maybe it's because I mixed it with the Coke, yes. Or it could have been that I just, chugged down a bunch of it with my pills. I don't know. I'm burpy, so deal with it. Where was I at? Oh, yeah. So, I need to put my pen down because I keep, flailing it about. So, yeah.
Originally thought to be the work of one.
Yes, originally thought to be, thank you, the work of one serial killer. Over the years, the FBI and their profiling and whatnot have, and local law enforcement as well, they're pretty sure it is the work of either a group working together or just using the fields as their dumping ground. But the consensus currently is that it's more than one serial killer. Or killer. I mean, it's a lot of bodies. Well, apparently the signatures are similar, if not the same. There's a lot of information on the murders that hasn't been released because they want to keep details so that they can prove that whoever they capture or confesses to the murders is the person actually doing them. And that's because there has been people falsely taking credit for the murders. And I'll get to that, the most famous one, in a little bit. So, a few months after the initial 3 in 1971, there were 6 more bodies found strewn along the corridor. It's a 50-mile stretch between Webster and Galveston where these bodies are found. A large number of the girls are abducted in the Webster Clear Lake area as well as the League City area. There's a few from Alvin and Dickinson, Texas City, Galveston, so all along there.
Oh yeah, right near me.
Yeah, we live like right at the beginning of the corridor. So I'm not actually laughing, I was being sarcastic. B. So in 1983, Sandra Ramber from Santa Fe, she's 14 years old. She is still missing. Her body was never found. She's just missing, like straight up missing. That same year, Heidi Villarreal, who was 23, and Laura Miller. Yeah, Miller. That was the Miller girl. Miller will be important in a second. So Laura Miller, 16, both disappeared from the same convenience store in League City. Now, excuse me. Oh. How is burp at like the most awful times? Hey, 16-year-old got fucking abducted from a convenience store. Let me burp right now. I'm so considerate. I'm sorry, you guys.
Boy.
Night. My housemate's going to bed. So, okay, going to work. Housemate's going to work. My bed. And so they disappeared, and then their bodies were found on Calder Road, the oil field. And most of the times, if you look up just Houston killing fields, you'll only get the story from the Calder Road bodies. It's 4 bodies in all. It was Heidi and Laura, and then 2 that were until recently unidentified. So we had Jane. They were known as Jane and Janet Doe. These 2 identified bodies. And it was actually so... Heidi's body was found first when somebody's family dog came home with Heidi's head. Yes, Fido came home. Yeah. And so they then went out and found the rest of Heidi's remains. So Tim Miller, Laura Miller's father, and he'll become important in this story in a little bit, begged the League City Police to look in the fields for Laura, but it wasn't until I believe it was 2 teenage boys in their bicycles that were riding their bicycles out in the field found Jane Doe, and so the police were called. They went out. And that's when they also found Janet Doe. And while digging up the remains of Jane and Janet Doe, they found Laura's body. Yeah. And so, and that was in, hold on, my computer's making a weird noise. Why are you making a weird noise? Stop making weird noises, please. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Anyway, so 4 bodies, 2 unidentified. Then later on, through DNA testing, They were discovered to be Amber Lee Cook, who was 30, and Donna Prudhomme, who was 34. I believe Donna was a mother of two that gone missing, and Aubrey was a mechanic. So Tim Miller then founded the Texas EquiSearch, which is a huge search database for missing people. So he has dedicated his life to finding missing people. So that's how he turned the tragedy over to that. So of course in and the FBI have been called multiple times for these murders, as more and more have been found. So then, also in 1983, Susan Eads, who was 20, was found. And she was found along the corridor. Actually, I believe she was found off NASA Road 1, is where her body was found, raped and strangled. And then a bunch of other bodies were found. There's actually a list of identified bodies, because there's a lot that are unidentified, but there's like a list, I believe, on Wikipedia, and tells you kind of the bodies, where they were found, who they were.
No.
Excuse me. So it has several of them. So then in 1996, Crystal Baker, who was 13, was found underneath the Trinity Bridge in Chambers County. 1997, Laura Smither, who was 12, was found in a Pasadena retention pond. Jessica Kane, who was 16 or 17, was found in 1997. She disappeared from Webster. She'd gone out with her theater group to get dinner and was never heard from again. Teresa Venegas, who was 16, out of Dickinson, was found in 2006. And I think 2006 is the last identified body, but I know some have been found after that. So, and that's only some of them. Like you have to remember, as I said in the beginning, there's been over 40 girls and women found raped and murdered along this 50-mile stretch. Now, in 2001, there was a man who was serving 486 years in prison, or 89 years in prison. I don't know, the 3 years doesn't really fucking matter, because he's never going to finish serving them. And he... God, what the fuck was his name? He confessed to all of the murders. Stallings, Mark Roland Stallings, was he wrote a letter and confessed to all of the murders, and he did know some interesting details about the murders. So his claim was originally taken seriously, but then through DNA testing found that in no way could he have been the murders. It came out that it was a big old fat lie. And I think he also got convicted for that too and got extra time for it. Oh, Jesus. There's been a few other suspects, but nothing's ever led anywhere. There was even, at the time of the Calder Road murders, there was a ex-NASA engineer, I think his name was Abel something or other, who had like horses out there, or next to it. He had a horse ranch next to the oil fields, and he was very, very closely scrutinized by the FBI and police. They thought that he was like their prime suspect for a while, but investigation for that led nowhere, and he was cleared. Uh, so yeah, it's one of those bizarre things. Like growing up here, my mother was always super paranoid about my sister and I doing anything, and for the longest time, like I was like, oh, my mom's freaking nutso, but like learning that when I was a teenager, that happens, like it's still happening, like they're still finding bodies. I get it, like that's, especially, I grew up in Pasadena, which is part of the area where people go missing. It's kind of just wild. Like, Houston has this unsolved crime that's still going on. It's not even like oh, it stopped. No, it's still happening. It's just fucking crazy. So yeah, I mean, and the fields, you can see like that whole area, like you can just see fields when you're driving down I-45, but really, like, if you're out there screaming, no one's gonna hear you. With the traffic on the freeway and stuff, like, no one's gonna hear you. If you try to run away, where the hell are you gonna go?
In the traffic? No.
I mean, even then, like, if you're being chased down by somebody, like, and they don't fucking leave the bodies right by the freeway.
Yeah.
It's kind of chilling. Especially since I drive, like, I visit a friend down in Texas City, and so I, like, drive through there, like, in the middle of the night sometimes, and it's just, I ain't stopping. I fucking make sure I've got gas early in the day before I head over there, because it's, nope. So yeah, alright. That's today's. Not as long as usual, but I think more chilling, as it's, if you're a lady or lady presenting and come down to Houston, don't go anywhere near the South End by yourself at night, that's for sure. So I remember, if you commit murder, at least try not to get caught, and y'all have a good evening.